to the first episode of Sequel Rights, where we look at franchises where you say, they made how many of those movies? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. I am Justin Camps, and I'm here with
Tyler Hymanson
and
Elizabeth Helly.
And we are excited to have you. This is our first show, you guys.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Woo. Pretty pumped.
Yeah.
For all of you out there who are listening, we are kicking things off with the film An American Tail.
One that's near and dear to all of our hearts.
Yeah, so I
think
know.
all 90s kids, too.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
90s kids. Yeah, I guess I was 85, so...
Well, still, though, you grew up in the 90s.
Yeah, totally.
Welcome to our podcast where we define what a 90s kid is.
Yeah, what is a 90s kid?
What is a 90s child? Already derailed.
That's fine, whatever. So why don't we just start off with, Tyler, you said it was,
Near and dear? Yeah,
near
I
to your heart.
think that it was one of the... I actually saw it after I saw Land Before Time. So I saw Land Before Time first. I was born in 87, so it was, a younger thing. I saw it on VHS for the first time. But yeah, I remember being especially terrified. I mean, I don't know if we want to get into the detail now, but of the whole boat scene, I was scared of the ocean for
Oh my gosh.
for a couple of years of
scary.
my life. Yeah.
It's very scary in this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, so I think we should say that it came out in 86.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was also born in 87. And I think we should also say up top that there are 4 of these. And
Which I had no idea.
Yeah,
I
me
thought,
neither.
I was oh, there's 2.
I thought there was 2.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to review them all eventually. My mom is convinced that I saw this in theaters, which is probably not possible, but it may have been one of those children in the summer go see these older movies things. So
a lot of these movies back then too were re-released a lot, so
Okay.
it's possible it was re-released.
Yeah.
And
Trying to see
Jurassic Park was. That's an extreme example, but movies used to stay in theaters a lot longer. Jurassic Park was in theaters for a year and a half.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
But it does seem a little. My first movie ever in theaters was The Little Mermaid.
Same.
So and that was 89.
I
Yeah.
think mine was Aladdin, personally.
Yeah.
What?
The first movie you saw in theaters was Aladdin.
That's
were
the
you
only
doing
one I
for 10
remember.
years?
That's the only one I remember.
You spent 10 years not going to the movies?
Yeah,
That could
I'm
not
a
be
Mormon.
true.
That's
I'm a Mormon.
Like Don Bluth.
Yeah.
Is Don Bluth Mormon?
Yeah, well, he was. I don't.
Oh,
I mean, he
cool.
went on his Mormon. We'll talk about that eventually.
I have no idea.
But
Okay, cool.
anyways, I
Do
really
Mormons
like
not
this
see
movie.
movies? That's not even a thing.
That's
That's
not
not
a
thinking
thing.
about.
I was like, I don't know why I said that.
Totally go to movies. I also really like this movie. It was an older sister looking out for her little brother. I have a little brother, and it was a musical, so I was really into it, and I just really liked the mouse. And my mom said I was really happy when I met him at Universal as well. So.
I don't remember the Universal characters, but rewatching this movie, I was like, oh shit, this is a musical.
Yeah.
I had completely forgotten that it was
I can't
a musical.
believe you forgot that. That's the most iconic part of the movie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I wouldn't call Fievel singing iconic.
There's one thing people remember about the movie.
How dare you?
One thing.
Okay.
I remember this movie fondly too. I don't think I saw it in theaters, but we definitely had it on VHS, and then the sequel was out when you could actually kind of know what it was or see commercials on TV, because by that time it was 91 or whatever. So so I was excited to rewatch it and dive into this.
Yeah, and I think that it's an interesting one to start with because it is a great kind of concept for something that's repeatable. Mm-hmm. It's called An American Tail. The pun is kind of TAIL.
That's right.
Which is kind of like fuck you, but but it makes sense. It's Don Bluth was a Disney animator. It's from the Disney mold, and it's kind of not taking an old Brothers Grimm type fable. It's taking something new and kind of giving it that same treatment, and that's something that it is repeatable. There's lots of stories that that come along with that, but it does make a sort of sense to stop mining all these old stories and tell something that's new. And it's an innovative concept, and it's executed very well in this first film.
Sweet. So do you guys want to let's talk about Don Bluth a little bit before we dive into...
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, he was a Disney animator on films like Rescuers and Pete's Dragon. And he, with a bunch of other animators, led a walkout because they felt that the quality was dropping.
Yeah, he was really one of kind of like supposed to be the heir apparent. He trained under John Lounsbury, who was one of the 9 old men on Sleeping Beauty. And then after Walt died in 1966, he felt like things were not going well. So he walked out with a partner, and it just left Fox and the Hound in complete shambles. Like, it got delayed by like over a year. And the whole studio was left in charge of these 2 nobodies called Tim Burton and John Lasseter. So
Never heard of them.
Never.
yeah.
But
awesome.
so then he went off and did Secrets of Nim.
Yeah.
Secret
Nim.
of the Nim. Yeah, I believe.
Oh, there you go.
Also about mice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That was his first film, and this is American Tail was his second film.
I guess that's kind of like a big middle finger to Disney to leave and immediately do 2 movies about mice.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and after working on The Rescuers as well, but you know, there's some things, I don't know how true this is. It's something I read on the internet, so take it with a grain of salt. But that, you know, the quality of Secret and American Tail is what drove Disney to really step up the bar and, you know, come back in full force with Little Mermaid. And when they did that, it kind of, you know, his later films faltered. You know, he had your Rockadoodles. And
I love Rockadoodle. Sorry, I love almost all of Don Bluth's movies, and Rockadoodle is one of my favorites.
That chicken sounded like Elvis, right?
That was the whole bit.
Yeah, okay. It was a rooster.
Yeah, that one's also a musical. Did you know that?
So they also...
Welcome to our podcast, Everything's a Musical.
I mean...
We only look at musical
opposed.
franchises.
I mean, maybe this is for another episode, but you guys see those Mary Poppins photos that came out today? Because
Yes.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not this show.
So after Nim came out, also Disney was kind of like, oh, fantasy. Let's do the Black Cauldron. And then they got completely screwed. Biggest failure ever for them. And so then after Don Bluth kind of left turn to American Tail, they followed up then with Oliver and Company. So yes, we're like, okay, let's go to America, closer to present day. So that was their follow-up. But yeah.
Cool. All right, well, why don't we just dive right into the movie?
Absolutely.
So let's take a look at An American Tail.
This holiday season, Universal Pictures brings you a very special motion picture experience. The first animated feature film presented by Steven Spielberg. An American Tale. The story of one family's journey to America and Fievel, their son, who got lost along the way.
Fievel?
All right, so why don't we just kind of start off, you guys want to start off with just your overall thoughts on the movie itself, or you want to talk through
I think that
plot points or what?
No, I think that overall thoughts, like I was saying, you know, it's a concept that lends itself to multiple movies and multiple stories, and you know, taking the American immigrant tale or an immigrant tale and turning it into this kind of fable, you know, heightened fairy tale type story is important, and it's something that makes sense to do, and it's an interesting way it's executed here, and it really does lend itself to that style of storytelling very, very well. You know, there's monsters, there's danger, there's, you know, it has the full hero's journey, and it's something that, you know, everyone in this country had a version of that, and so it's something that everyone could relate to.
Yeah, I really like it, obviously. Probably watching it again, there were some things that you realize don't hold up when you look at it now. But overall, I still think it's a really good movie. It was a little bit more episodic or scenic than I remembered, and then there was just kind of like this scene and then this scene, and they weren't very connected very well. But I did read too that it was like a lot of budget oversight at the end, being like, just cut out that middle part.
There were lots of cuts made and like stuff that happens. Like, for example, there's like, you know, there's actually a baby in the family. And the baby you see in the beginning of the Moskowitz family is there for like one scene. And then you don't see the baby at all again later. And they had to like insert a crib.
They left it at home.
They had to insert a crib. Apparently audiences were confused, like, because Papa Moskowitz says, oh, we have 5 in the family, and then he goes 4 because Fievel disappeared.
Fievel's gone.
But then apparently audiences were all
This
also
other baby died on the boat?
audiences were like, wait. How are there 4? There's only 3 of them.
Oh, they never even
Yeah.
saw
Because you
the
don't
baby.
see the baby.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's the baby in the opening scene, but you never see it again. Like
Right.
you don't see the baby going through immigration.
Yeah, you
So-
don't see the baby on the boat.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
the baby from...
They cut the baby because of
Yeah.
budget.
Well, what's the... Oh, American
more
Sniper.
babies!
It's like the American Sniper baby. They're like, just put it in there. Like,
Yeah.
I never saw that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Um,
Okay, anyways.
Because we're anti-American.
Great start to the podcast. Declare the first episode that we're all
Hey,
anti...
we're watching an American
Tale.
I saw American Sniper.
Get it?
I don't want to be tracked down by the
Oh wait, was that part of the sequel, the research for this episode? American Sniper is a sequel to American Tale.
Fievel grows up.
grows up to be a sniper for the U.S. military. It only
Not
makes
just any sniper, the most deadly sniper in
Yeah.
history. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was thinking about the movie. It was a lot more vignettes than I remembered, but
Right.
overall, I did think it was like a really good film, and I liked kind of. I mean, so how old were you when you realized that it was all like an allegory about the Jewish?
I think
Russian Jew experience.
yesterday? No, okay. I don't think that ever. I mean, I don't know what exactly. It's not like I kept watching it over and over again, and
Sure.
something was like, "Oh, this is about the Jewish."
I mean,
immigration experience."
I distinctly remember watching it with my grandfather, who his father immigrated from Latvia, and you know him saying something specifically of you know, oh, that's like your grandfather. But you know, I was 3 and didn't really know what that meant.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, and, like-
Grandpa Pa was a mouse. Like,
and-
How did we get so big?
Yeah, I read some of the reviews at the time, like Roger Ebert, like,
Yeah.
One of the things that he like docked the film for is like that they never explicitly say like that this is a Jew. It's like obvious. It's obvious.
I mean, they
to
use
anyone watching, but
they use the stereotypical pun name.
yeah, but like
Sure.
it's obvious to like the adults watching that this is a Jewish parable.
Well, yeah, and
and
don't they
everything,
all,
but the
don't they get
kids-
Hanukkah gifts in the beginning? Like she gets the babushka. And
Yeah,
he gets
they
the
mentioned
hat.
that, and then it kind of just goes away. But
Like the baby.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I really love this film. I watching it again, I hadn't seen it in a really long time, and I just thought it was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And also like I don't know if you guys had this experience, but like watching the movie in like today's U.S. climate,
Sure.
I
No.
thought it like had all sorts of extra meaning, and actually like parts of it just like broke my heart and made me like sad because it seems even more to me watching it now in modern days. It seems even more like a complete fairy tale, like. Apart from being about talking mice, it's just like I wonder if there's even this kind of like opinion of America or thought of America as being
Now,
like
yeah.
a place of hope, at all.
Yeah,
nowadays.
and it loses its luster in that way. And I thought the same thing, where it's there is. I mean, the song that happens on the boat, no cats in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite being hilariously stereotypical.
Oh yeah.
It's like, here comes the Italian dude to
Oh,
like,
I know,
and it's
yeah.
like Irish guy.
it's
Yeah.
awful, but at the same time, it really has that that hope and that ideal of America, and it's something that I don't think exists now, or if it does, it's getting smaller and smaller every day. It is interesting that the main villain in this movie is a Trump-like character. I mean, it's something J. Rat, right?
It's
Warren T.
Warren
Rat.
T. Rats.
And he even has a golden tooth,
Yes.
just like Trump.
But I mean, it was weirdly prescient for me because I had those same emotions of oh man, we probably don't have, we're losing that luster in this immigrant fairy tale, but it does have the reality of there are those types of people here as well.
Yeah,
You know?
there's actually one scene that was like broke my heart and was like bringing tears to my eyes when he first Fievel is we can kind of talk about what happens in the movie,
Yeah.
but Fievel and his family are forced to leave their home in Russia. They board a boat. Fievel does what Fievel be doing and falls like I think throughout this entire movie, water is his worst enemy.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because he gets washed overboard and ends up in a bottle. But anyways,
he's an alien from science.
Yes. So the scene that like made me tear up a bit, he's in this bottle, and as he first approaches the shores of America, there's like this, he gets this blurry-eyed view of the Statue of Liberty, and James Horner, who did what I think is an amazing score, plays this, really kind of Copland-esque chorale that comes in, and they're singing, this chorale to the lyrics that are the words of the New Colossus, which is the poem at the base of Statue of Liberty. And I've been listening to that all week, just like, it's so beautiful.
It's really great.
And I was just like, this is amazing. And it made me sad, like I said before, thinking of like if people even think of us this way.
Rest in power, James Horner.
Yes.
I know. James Horner.
Well, we should probably say, too, in case anyone wants to watch along, that all 4 American Tail movies are on Netflix.
That's right.
And so...
For now.
Yes. So watch them while you can. So that kind of made me happy, because I was like, oh, maybe, the kids these days are seeing this movie, and hopefully we'll learn to be a little bit more tolerant and welcoming to immigrants that just want to come to America for a better life.
And that all pigeons are French.
Yeah.
And now, if I'm not mistaken, did they imply that the pigeon is in fact building the statue?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's an impressive pigeon.
I was like, I think the Statue of Liberty is being built by this pigeon. And then they show him actually putting some like rivets in.
Yeah. I think in the whole movie, all the animals have their like human counterparts, like the Moskowitzes and the Mouskowitzes and whatever her name is, Gussie Mausheimer probably lives underneath, the Rockefellers or whatever.
Madeline Kahn is the fucking shit.
Oh, yeah.
Doing Madeline Kahn is the shit.
Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, and I heard that they like specifically cast her to be like, oh, she does a funny accent like in Blazing Saddles.
Well, it's gonna be a wowie.
Wowie.
There is some like Mel Brooks all-stars in this movie.
Yeah.
Like Dom's there and Madeline Kahn and they're doing...
Dom DeLuise doing his best lion.
Cowardly Lion,
It's
it totally evokes that,
I know. He even says like some of the same type of lines.
It is a really interesting thing. I'm actually not sure if this carries over to the other movies because I don't recall. But that they're not. It's not a. If this is the Disney version of the movie, that there would just be the animals. There wouldn't be the real life people happening around it, and that does add some weight and reality to this immigrant story.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting world building choice that I feel like it's something that could be thrown out later on down the line.
I mean, I was reading some of the behind the scenes, and originally, the original idea was like that it was just going to be all animals, like a Disney film, all animals. But Don Bluth was pushing for it to be more like something like The Rescuers, where there's humans involved too, and it takes place in like the real world. And it was funny, like apparently Steven Spielberg had never seen The Rescuers, so he like set up a screening and then like totally convinced Spielberg to make it more like The Rescuers and include human beings.
And The Rescuers, they more actually the mice affect what's going on with the humans and have direct communication with them. This one reminds me more, and these 2 movies came out the same year, The Great Mouse Detective, so I don't know, maybe Don Bluth could have pitched something similar and then he left and like, let's just do the idea anyway. Because, I mean, but the difference is that The Great Mouse Detective is like this Sherlock Holmes thing, where, and it's all different. There's only like one little kid in that movie, where this, I feel like, is kind of vastly superior as a story, even though that movie's fun and it has the computer animated scene and everything. But
there's some CG in this movie too.
Yes, yeah.
Some really really early like with the boat on the water and like some really
the big mouse at the end.
Oh yeah,
robot thing.
That plan is insane.
The secret weapon.
I love the secret weapon.
The secret weapon.
Yeah,
we used to say that all the time in my house for no reason. Like
that thing was terrifying. That's
it's scary.
That's another thing I love about this movie is that the cats are terrifying. There's all this like frightening imagery that
I mean, and the
you don't see in
the ocean.
That's
why you were scared.
The scene that was scared. Like they turn the waves into basically these demons.
It turns into like Chernobog from Fantasia.
Like crazy monster. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
We were talking
Americans.
about we were talking about the how there's humans involved more.
Oh yeah.
in
So
American
the one thing that I thought was too similar between the two movies is that you have this like in Mouse Detective he's a rat that's pretending to be a mouse, and in this one he's a cat that's pretending to be a rat.
Yeah.
Which again is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that whole transformation scene is like it works, but like figuring out how to animate that had to be such a fucking nightmare because
yeah, he kind of like plugs his nose and blows out his ears.
I was watching it, and like I had kind of forgotten that twist happened. So like,
I totally forgot that.
Warren
I was like, oh, he's
rat,
an evil rat. Yeah.
Basically, like the overall like theme in the movie is that there's no cats in America. America's the land of plenty. There's no threats to anything. Turns out that there are cats. They're evil, and they're being controlled by this guy who throws Fievel into a work camp when he first meets him.
Which he immediely escapes from, by the way. Yeah. He didn't do any work.
With his pal, Tony Tapone.
He gets thrown in there, and then he gets like grabbed by a dude who has like more saliva than any other character in any movie. And then, like, they couldn't afford to animate, like, whatever the work was, so it just cuts to them sleeping, and then they immediately escape. But, okay, so this Warren T. Rat character is basically controlling all the cats and have this mafia-style thing, and so he's masquerading as a rat, where he is, in fact, I guess, a very small cat.
Yeah.
And then randomly turns orange when he takes his nose off. It's weird.
It was interesting.
We'll see if there's any more transmorgifying powers of other animals in the other movies. But I believe that is it the third or the fourth one. You're bringing up the Great Mouse Detective is like a Sherlock Holmes.
No, I don't even know. Don't spoil it for me. I have no idea.
No idea. I know we looked up the names of them, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I feel like it might be. Yeah.
Okay,
I wouldn't be surprised. What did you guys think about? Like, I don't know if you thought this watching the movie, but there's like, to me, there were like tons of comparisons to like Pinocchio.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think the scene where he's on the soap sliding around is really iconic in that movie, and then it evokes Pinocchio.
Yeah, and then it's like Warren T. Rat is totally kind of like an Honest John type character, and then there's a character named Honest John in the movie.
Yeah, well, he's a parody of Tammany Hall.
Right? Yeah, he's a totally different thing. But I just found that really interesting, and the whole getting like lost at sea type of thing.
I need to bring up my favorite thing about the movie.
Okay,
because you've mentioned Honest John, and there's an introductory scene where he shows up and he's at an Irish wake. Again, this movie loves stereotypes.
Yep.
And like and he's super drunk. And it's this kind of like this sweet moment. And then there's a dead person laying on a table. And he goes, like I'll miss you. And then like commits voter fraud there by writing his name down in a journal that he keeps that says ghost votes.
Yes. I typed that in my notes like, oh my god, this movie is so relevant, it's voter fraud! Voter fraud is real!
And so he opens up, like, we'll post a photo of it, because I definitely took a photo of it up on the Twitter, but it's just ghost votes and a bunch of dead Irish names.
Yeah, I thought that was so funny. Oh my god.
No, that's great. But kind of going back to the boat, I guess, and there's just so many, like, even though they've probably all been done in various Mickey Mouse cartoons and stuff, like, I thought the visual gags in that scene of the boat going back and forth are so funny. Like, the two guys playing checkers, and then he's sliding back and forth, and, both in the house and on the boat, there's these really, like, hilarious background, like, visual gags. Like, in the house, they have, like, 3 jars, and it's, like, breadcrumbs, and more breadcrumbs. And then on the boat, it's breakfast herring, lunch herring, and dinner herring are the 3 barrels that he's looking in.
I love all that stuff,
That was just so funny. And as they ran out of money, obviously they didn't animate it chronologically, but those little details kind of disappear, but there are a few in there that are just hilarious. So.
There's some truly heinous matte paintings in this movie that only stand out because there are so many more gorgeous ones.
Yeah.
I think that there's something interesting about Fievel's motivation, and I think it's something that we'll see degrade over the course of these movies, is that there's something really true to how he gets lost at sea is he wants to see fish. Yeah. Because there's something kind of grim about it's just a bucket of herring on the ship. Like, that's the things that people are eating, but he kind of has the childlike fascination. And So there's a big storm happening, and he goes running up, and what he does is chooses to intentionally throw his hat in a... It's a hell of a throw, by the way, because it's a giant human-sized... It's a giant human-sized staircase, and he's like, what?
He's stronger than he knows, okay?
But because he wants to go see the fish, which is a very true, I feel like, child motivation. Yeah. And it's not him by happenstance. It's him choosing to go on this adventure because he's curious. And I think that that's something that kind of existed in that E.T. late 80s, early 90s kind of child entertainment, where there was some respect given to children and them making their own choices and putting them in scary situations where it wasn't just vanilla padded room all the time.
Yeah. And I think this is different than a lot of other animated or, kids movies, in that the protagonist is a little kid. Yeah. A lot of them, it's a teenager or a full-on adult, and they're doing something that teaches kids a lesson about life. But this one, it's just a straight-up kid doing kid things, being dumb and curious, and, just... And like with the sister, too. She keeps saying, he's alive, I think I hear... And they're like, nah, you're a little kid. You don't know what you're talking about.
I know, she was the only one who had hope.
Yeah, she straight up knew. And,
she's the only one who had hope, and then she's the last one who gets to see him when they find him at the end.
And so I think, too, probably a reason we all identified so much with this movie as little kids is because they are little kids. And I think it really hit me the most, I don't know if we want to get into this, but somewhere out there, it's just little kids singing. They are not polished.
Oh, yeah.
They are not, trained singers. It's not like, Ali Carvalho and Moana is basically like a Broadway star, even though she's a teenager. These are just, straight up little kids that could sing kind of good, but they didn't, make up a singing tune. They didn't change it up. They just, they go out of tune on the high notes. They clash with each other, and it's just really cute. It's cute. It's not the most pleasing to the ear.
So you guys saying that now makes me like it, but while I was watching it, I fucking hated it.
So you're saying you'd rather listen to the Linda Ronstadt James Ingram version?
Well, not in the movie, but
Joan Baez.
I'd rather listen to the Joan Baez.
Welcome to part one of our running silent running joke.
A running silent running joke.
Yeah, because it's going to come back. No, literally in my notes I just have this Fievel can't sing for shit.
I think it's good enough, but it's definitely not.
But you describing it that way, I respect that choice. I think that's really, really cool, and it ties into them, respecting that kids are people, and kids are going to see this movie, and kids are smart. So let's treat them that way.
And I remember thinking, watching it as a kid, I had a brother, and just kind of that feeling of if you get lost, you will find your family, and your family, your brother or your sibling or whatever, will be singing a song with you. No, we'll be looking for you, even if you get separated. That's something that I think kids watching, really will enjoy.
Yeah, I think that something that on that note, one of the best scenes in the movie to me is the first time that Fievel thinks he hears his dad playing the fiddle, and ends up it kind of.
It happens a lot.
It happens a lot. It happens almost as many times.
Twice.
It happens almost as many times as that. Here's a crowded scene, and they're in the exact same place.
Yeah, that got kind of frustrating.
I know they were always in the same
being
place.
Quite so close. To
every
each other.
it almost seems like it was a budgetary we can animate one background so both these scenes are.
There's that one time where they walk right underneath him, and they just stop talking. They happen to stop.
They're all talking loudly. Yeah.
That was super frustrating. In fact, I forgot what I was saying.
Your favorite scene?
Oh, my favorite scene. That's the thing. So it's the first time that Fievel kind of thinks that he never loses hope about his family, except for the one time when he loses hope. But he hears his father, playing the fiddle, and then ends up in this fancy apartment and inside
an Edison cylinder.
Yeah, I was going to call it a gramophone, but that's not what it is.
It was like an Edison cylinder player.
Yeah. But then there's so it's not just that scene doesn't play out with him getting there, seeing it's that machine, and kind of I'm being disappointed. He climbs into the basically horn that the music comes out of, and he kind of has this dark metaphorical envisionment of what disappointment is. It's a really kind of I feel like I learned as a kid seeing that. what disappointment is, and how it's strange in a movie like this to have that moment where it's like the world can be disappointing in that way.
Yeah. But then he continues to keep
absolutely
persevering.
Absolutely. But it's not something that moment could have been played like that, super, super quick. But they linger on it, and like this is true and scary disappointment.
Yeah.
I was going to say, coming into this, I forgot all the songs except for No Cats in America and Somewhere Out There. But I really liked that this movie had like a traditional overture credits sequence, because as I was hearing it, I was like, oh yeah, that song, and I like got into it again. And when he meets the Henri, the pigeon, and they sing Never Say Never, I was like, well, first of all, this is far superior to Justin Bieber's Never Say Never. And then I searched online for a mashup of the two and was sorely disappointed to not find one anywhere.
You should make it.
Somebody get on that.
Yeah, listeners out there,
get on it.
Make it happen.
But I guess this is more about the score, but when they're saying like never say never, it's the same notes as like somewhere where, and so I thought that was like kind of cute as like the same idea of like don't give up, and they use the same like progression.
Well, James Horner actually ended up co-writing all the songs as well. I think going through, I kind of like remembered all of them except for the one that Tiger
a duo.
sings,
I remembered it
duo.
eventually. Yeah, it's very Cowardly Lion. Yeah, so.
But I thought that was a cute little like sidekick song.
Yeah, the comic relief song.
It's a good song, and then like it immediately ends with him quitting. At the end, happens all off screen. Like something else is happening, and then
that was another thing that they said was confusing that they had to cut. There was like a scene where Tiger actually like meets the Moskowitz family, but in the movie, he's like with Fievel, and then
he meets them while they're searching.
No, at the end they're just together when they're looking for him at the end.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But there's no like, oh, you're the Moskowitz family?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
He's just there.
It was
all
the
of a
other
sudden.
two.
Yeah,
it was Tony and what's her face that they were like, oh, you're looking for this
Tony
guy. I know
Taccone.
this guy. Yeah. So
and Philly
and the lady
Philly.
one.
and the lady. Wait, so
What was her name? Bridget.
Bridget.
Here's the thing about I don't understand Bridget's introduction, right? Because like she's saying, and I don't know if this is something that I want to track over the next couple of these movies is are cats still the main protagonists or antagonists? And I don't quite understand what Bridget is advocating. Hold on, we have a siren happening.
Well, I think she's advocating to freedom from cats, right?
It's like a free speech. It's a weird amalgamation of like women's suffrage and free speech, and she's saying like we should be able to say the word cat. Also, apparently say the word cat fucking summons them because
They show up moments later,
multiple times.
Also, everyone's like shh.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of unclear what she wants out of it.
Yeah, it made it seem like everyone's kind of trying to live in denial. Like, cats aren't here. There's no cats.
Yeah, they're trying to
and she
hide
wants
from them,
to
I guess.
try to.
And so there's cats we need to deal with.
Yeah,
They're all
exactly.
paying the rat guy for protection from the cats, which
Which
I
is-
found kind of confusing, but eventually was like, okay, yeah, they're doing
I mean,
that.
that's unveiled in like the third act.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
Yeah.
wait, that's happening?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm interested to see if cats are still as big of a threat. Although, after the secret weapon is released and all the cats get run into the water, someone yells off screen, "They can't swim!"
Yeah, I know. I heard that.
I thought they were all gonna die.
I heard that, and I was
before they
like,
came up on the
I
anchor.
typed in my notes like, "Oh shit, they killed all
Yeah,
of them."
I thought they killed all of them, and then they all come up with this anchor, and I'm like, oh.
You never know with these older
okay.
movies. Like,
no, they could have just killed
murdered
No,
them.
but that's what I thought. I was like, oh, maybe people didn't think that this was a good enough solution. So let's have someone yell off screen about the mass murder of these characters.
Yeah, and I love I love the James Horner score, but it was hilarious that like their plan was
God, I did
to
not like
ship
this,
them
yeah.
off to Hong Kong on this boat.
And every time they
every time we showed the boat, I was like, the music, and it was like gong. It was the most stereotypical like Chinese music, and I was like, come on,
Is it
James
sad?
Horner? Why?
Is it sad that I didn't notice that?
You didn't
Oh,
notice
my
that? Oh my God. That's your white male privilege. You did
Yeah.
not notice the
Come
Chinese
on, man.
ching chong ping pong music.
Also, isn't there some like cat? I don't know. Isn't there like some sort of stereotype with cats in China? China or something.
Well, like the Siamese cats, or I would say from
which
Lady
I
and
so I
the
was like,
Tramp,
wow,
but-
they're just going to ship them off. To
By the
China.
way, can we reveal a personal fact about you that you're allergic to cats?
Oh, yeah.
Because I was imagining like baby Tyler running around singing that there are no cats in America. Yeah, and then being like super disappointed when your parents were like, "Sweetie, it's not real."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
They caused me not to breathe. It's fun.
so that could be your
So this
theme
movie
song.
was really terrifying in many ways.
Yeah.
The sea, cats, Italian stereotypes.
Yeah.
the Jewish experience.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to do watching this movie, like one of the main things I remember from the film, other than Somewhere Out There, which actually went on to win like 2 Grammy Awards.
Oh shit!
But not the Oscar.
No, not
because
the
it
Oscar.
lost to Top
Freaking
Gun.
Top Gun.
No, not that song. Take my breath away.
Yeah. Boo. The other thing I remember most about
Also, wait, Top Gun 2 coming to this podcast soon.
Top Gun again, or
It's Top Gun Maverick.
Topper Gun.
Topper Gun. That's the parody. That's the porn parody. That's not.
No, that's legit. Probably a male porn star.
Oh my god, we're so off track.
Yeah. Okay, I was trying to say something. One of the things I remember about this film is him going "Papa" like a million times.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I wanted to, if I just had infinite time, or maybe someone did, or maybe our listeners can. I want to see a supercut of every
Papa?
time he says "Papa."
By the way,
And then a bonus scene of Papa saying "5" like over and over again.
Like, fun fact though, the
Papa?
voice of Papa, whose name is Nehemiah Persoff, is like Papa of Papa Can You Hear Me from like Yentl.
Oh.
And so they've just got like
That's hilarious.
a Jewish Papa to play Papa. Like
perfect.
other than Topple, it's probably the best person you could have gotten.
Papa.
I'll make that supercut and we'll turn it into a Papa John's commercial.
No,
Papa John's has the best pizza.
no,
Papa
they do
John's
not.
pizza is the best.
Yep.
That's perfect.
So do we lose James Horner going forward in these movies?
I have no idea.
I think we might.
That's a spoiler. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I did look. I mean, I was just looking up the soundtracks,
Yeah.
and he does do the next movie.
That's good.
Okay.
I'll look forward to it.
Other like random casting fun facts is that Tony is actually voiced by a woman.
Oh, yeah.
Named Pat Music, who's a pretty famous voice actor, but she is like the mom of Mae Whitman.
Oh, really?
Her? Yeah.
Her?
Yeah. Her. Ooh, yeah.
I'm so pissed I didn't do that in the moment. God damn.
Dang it! You're slacking.
And then Will Ryan, who is like the cockroach, who, by the way, that cockroach looks about as much like a cockroach as Jiminy Cricket looks like a cricket.
Yeah. Right.
It does not look like.
Also, I don't understand what he does. He's like super math whiz.
Yeah,
he has
he's
some sort of electric.
I don't
current.
know why he has electricity. That was
No,
kind
that
of
doesn't
weird.
make any sense.
He's like,
either.
Yeah, he's like supposed to be like a
He's
calculator.
a scat man?
yeah.
Yeah. I think he's supposed to be like an adding machine, like an old timey
Yeah.
adding
We're
machine.
reading into this way too much.
Okay, anyways,
Yeah.
but the
That character
voice,
makes
Will
sense.
Ryan, is also the voice of Petrie, and kind of like a really iconic side character of this like seahorse in The Little Mermaid that works for King Triton and is super annoying. That's also him, which when I thought about it was like, oh yeah, it's totally the same
Nice.
guy. So,
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
hear that now that you said that.
yeah.
Yeah, this will not be the last Don Bluth movie that shows up on this podcast. Believe it or not.
That's
Someday.
true.
So true.
So I think we've pretty much hit most of the beats of the movie.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say is at the very end, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but they totally set up a sequel
Yes.
at the end.
Yes.
He's like flying around with Henri, and he's like, oh, I want to see other parts of America. That's what he sounds like
Yeah.
in my head.
No, he does.
yeah.
He totally
and Henri's
does.
like, oh, you will. You totally will, bro. As he's,
But it
as
was,
they're
I feel
flying
like
around.
it's pretty innocent because this was before the franchise thing
I don't
really
know.
happened.
I think Spielberg was on top of that shit.
Manifest Destiny, Go West, Young Mouse.
An American Tale of the Lost World.
Oh, no.
The Lost World.
He goes
Vince
to
Vaughn's
San
in this
Diego.
one.
I just thought that was funny. That line happens at the end, and I was like, oh shit, they're setting up a sequel.
Animated Samuel L. Jackson comes in.
Yeah.
So should we talk about...
Let me tell you about the Manifest Destiny Initiative.
We need you. We need you, Fievel.
So this movie was pretty well received, except for critics that were like, they didn't acknowledge their Jewishness, and they didn't and it was too dark.
Yeah, most of the critics actually didn't like the movie.
I didn't think it was particularly dark, but I guess that's by today's standards. Where
it was fucking terrifying.
Well,
but it has a happy ending, and nobody permanently dies other than the baby, and possibly the cats.
But the baby dies from budget cuts. The most American tale of all.
Yeah.
Whereas, I feel like a lot of the kids' movies now have one kind of token iconic death that brings everyone together. This didn't have that. They all end up together in the end, Yeah,
I love that. There's a review in the New York Times that is like, An American Tale is Don Bluth's second animated theatrical feature after The Secret of Nim, and the first such children films to open with a pogrom and to end with an entire species being forcefully relocated.
That's true. That's true. They all get kicked out by a pogrom and then a pogrom or whatever, and then the solution is to do the same thing to the cats, which I don't know if they really learned anything, but
hey, history repeats itself.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's actually a clip of Siskel and Ebert talking about the movie on YouTube, and they
gave it 2 thumbs down.
Yeah, they go on and on about how this is too depressing and kids. There's no way kids are gonna like this because it's just super serious and it's not fun. And they actually, Eliz, you said you liked the overture thing, and they were actually mad about that because they're like, we don't want to see who plays all these characters. Boo. Then I just hear their voices and know who they are. And I'm like, come on, you guys.
Dumb.
Come on, Siskel. Come on. And Ebert.
Yeah. May they both rest in peace.
But yeah.
So, do you want to talk about the box office?
Yeah, I was going to say, the funny thing is that the critics were, hating on it, but kids and families loved it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually was a huge hit. It ended up making, 47 million domestic, and was it was the number 2 movie the weekend it came out. But then actually did more business the second weekend because of word of mouth.
Because word of mouth people.
And I think it was the highest grossing non-Disney animated at the time ever.
Apparently,
it probably got beat out by Land Before Time.
Apparently that weekend it had to go up with a... actually, let me try to find this. There was actually a really hilarious quote in this. This writer... John Colley had put out a book called The Animated Films of Don Bluth. Mm-hmm. And there was a whole excerpt about American Tail, and they were talking about how, all the critics really hated the movie, basically, but this paper in Des Moines actually did an interview of kids to see what they said about the movie. And the children were saying, here's what the children said. They said, Walt Disney is more like what my mom and dad would go see, said one youngster. My parents wanted to see Song of the South, and we wanted to see American Tail, another said.
Wait, but those weren't even out,
Well, actually, Song of the South was re-released that same weekend, apparently.
What?
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it was just being reissued in theaters.
God.
All these movies were being reissued, and American Tail actually, so it came out in November, right?
Yeah.
And did really good business
for holidays, I'm sure.
18 weeks, I believe. And around Christmas, there was a re-release of Lady and the Tramp at the time.
Okay.
And it actually beat out that.
Wow.
Crazy.
It was a re-release, but a re-release a whole generation later.
Yeah.
So it actually did really good business versus Disney films, and I think it was a big boon for more serious animation and animation in general.
Yeah.
Because it was Spielberg's first animated film that he'd ever done, or he produced.
And this spawns.
Oh shit!
How do you pronounce this? Amblimation or Amblin animation?
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah,
which doesn't last very long.
I never thought about that though. Without this movie, you don't.
There's
get
no DreamWorks.
You don't get your Freakazoid. You don't get your
Animaniacs.
This kicked off the whole Amblin entertainment animation stuff, and so it was a huge hit, and that is part of the reason why there's multiple sequels.
And overall, it's just great for animation. I mean, you say that it's probably there wasn't many other studios putting out animated
Yeah.
feature films.
No, there wasn't.
I feel like that there was maybe 3 of them.
So basically, if this movie flops, you might not be getting like these major.
I mean, you might not have the Minions movies, and that might be a good thing, but...
No, those are...
I just thought it was funny, some of the reviews, too, a lot of them were referencing, even back then in 86, saying that, like, the animation was very old-fashioned. You know, even though, you know, you're still right in the midst of the age of, like, hand-drawn animation. Mm-hmm. But, like we mentioned, you know, CG's starting to come in there even then, but I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, huge hit. Lots of merchandise.
Yeah, was it like one of the first? I mean, it probably had like I feel like I remember like Happy Meals or like
there was a promotion with McDonald's.
Oh shit!
They had Happy Meals where they had different like storybooks in it. Mm-hmm. And then also like one of the big things was that Sears had like
5-volt car battery rechargers.
No, this is Sears, the department store, not the hardware store.
Not the auto. Sears Auto.
No, they had like exclusive. I don't know, for department stores or whatever. They had the license for an American Tail, so they were pumping out hugely popular 5-volt plush toys and 5-volt and American Tail like.
5-volt the t-shirt.
Children clothing.
5-volt the lunchbox.
5-volt the shot glasses. Yeah, all that stuff. And it was actually, you know, it was one of the biggest. There's lots of stuff in the behind the scenes about how huge the like marketing was and the merchandising like all over the place because it was so popular with kids. Mm-hmm. And it's funny. There was actually even some controversy with some of the McDonald's merchandising. So around Christmas, because it was still in theaters, right? During Christmas time, I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but McDonald's put out a promotion where if you bought a $5 gift certificate from them, you would get a little Christmas stocking with 5-volt's face on it. Now, what do you think might be wrong with that?
Here's the thing. My father is Jewish. My mother is Catholic. My mother is Catholic.
My mother.
We had one of those.
Early Christmas merchandising. Yeah.
We had one of those.
That's great.
I didn't think about it being wrong until just this very moment.
Yeah, I actually went through the trouble to go because I saw this on some random like AmericanTailWiki.com or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was trying
God
to find.
bless you, American Tail Wiki.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, "There's an American Tail Wikia." Okay, great.
And I was like trying to find everything out about this movie right when I was doing research. And I actually was like trying to look for anyone talking about this controversy because it mentions it, but there's no like articles or whatever. And I found an article on the Philadelphia Inquirer archive that I had to like
the sensitive folks.
I had to log in
and pay like folks of Philadelphia.
Yes, I had to pay money. I had to pay like $2 for this article, but it's worth it for this.
Print journalism matters.
It's worth it for this.
It sure does.
One. So the writer of this article, they don't even say the name of the person, but anyways, here's a quote from the article. It says, "You can imagine how the decision was made. Kids love Christmas. This Christmas, kids love 5-volt. So let's work 5-volt into the Christmas promotion. 5-volt is this year's Smurf."
What happened the year before with the Smurfs? Like,
I think it's that Smurfs were just all over the place merchandising.
Yes.
If
the McDonald's had a good PR spin back in the day, they would have said, "Well, we came out with this for the children like Tyler Hymanson who are half Jewish and half Christian and want to celebrate both holidays." They like bring you up on stage and be like, "I love the Bible stocking.
Hello, it's me." It's like I play dreidel by the Christmas tree.
And get rid of all the cats, please.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that even being like a problem, and I just thought that was hilarious that there was, even around this kids movie, there's always some sort of controversy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and we can talk about this more with 5-0 Goes West, because I think it encompasses both movies, but there's also a lot of theme park tie-ins at Universal, and then later Universal Orlando, but it really encompassed both movies, because I tried to watch the show on YouTube, and was like, oh, spoilers, and I had to stop.
I know, there's a whole, if you go on YouTube and search 5-volt
it's like
stage
dancing
show,
characters. characters. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole dancing characters show.
But one thing...
It's not the Waterworld stage? Like,
No.
it's
No.
Watch this small boy
That
in a
would
mouse
be-
costume get, like, drowned.
That would be amazing.
That show is still running, by the way.
Waterworld?
Yeah.
The show's dope.
Oh,
Yeah.
But yeah, they do start talking about the next movie.
So, but I did watch the beginning, and one thing that I thought was kind of interesting that reflects on this first movie is that the Tony character is in the show, and they're singing No Cats in America, and instead of having random Italian stereotype mouse sing the part about, like, his mother getting killed and stuff, they have Tony sing it, because he's also an Italian stereotype.
because he's not an
But
Italian
I was like,
stereotype.
oh my gosh, like, how much more powerful would that character
I
have been
know.
if he had been on the boat, sang in the Cats in America song, and then they had been, like, imprisoned in the slave or children's labor factory together. Yeah, and then broke out somehow. But yeah, I guess it's just like
Tony's
wishful
sole
thinking.
purpose in the movie is to change Fievel's name to Philly for a short period of time.
So that when people are using his name for, like, the 10 fucking scenes where
Yeah.
they're in the same place, people don't
They
realize
won't
they're
know.
Well, it's
talking
funny
about
because
Fievel.
apparently, so in the behind the scenes thing, it said that Spielberg wanted to name him Fievel because that's his grandfather's name, and Don Bluth was like, "No, that name is like too foreign or something. Like we can't. Kids aren't gonna like this name." And he wanted to name him Philly, and so they eventually came to a compromise where this character would call him Philly. And in the line in the movie. Tony Taponi asks him what his name is, and he's like, "My name's Fievel, Fievel Moskowitz," and he goes, "Ugh, we gotta change that immediately.
That name's gotta go.
I'm gonna call you Philly."
Well, and it's so
now-
crazy that he gets Philly, and then his sister Tanya gets Tilly, and so I'm like, are the people at immigration just like, you're Jilly, Billy, Silly, Millie? You know, like is that the only suffix like
I mean,
available?
and they show the human immigration briefly, and the one guy's like,
oh yeah, his name was
Tom
even worse.
Dombronovitz, and then he goes, Tom Smith or whatever.
No, it was way more complicated than that. 'Cause
Well,
I
yeah,
remember being like, oh
It
wow,
was, but it was not. It was like a normal name, but
yeah.
the immigration officer, which is what really happened, is just
Yeah,
like,
for sure. My
just like Smith.
my various relatives got horrible names
Yeah,
instead of their Japanese names.
that's messed up.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see going forward with the next series of movies. You know, American Fievel Goes West feels like a natural extension of kind of the thing we're talking about, of the American fairy tale, and weirdly it's kind of similar of what American Gods does.
Yeah.
And so I think that'll be interesting to see how that theme carries on in that next movie.
Yeah, we should predict what happens. Well, you've seen it, right? I've
Yeah,
seen
so-
it, but I don't remember
So
what
let's
happens
kind of,
at all,
uh,
other than that he goes west.
Let's kind of like start to wrap up here. So at the end of each episode, for new listeners,
Which is all of
everyone's
us.
a new
Everyone.
listener. Everyone's a new listener because it's the first episode. Okay. Anyways, what we're gonna do at the end of each one is kind of like, you know, quote unquote announce what the next movie in the series is, and
what
just
it's
kind
called.
of and just kind of like give our thoughts based on basically nothing. What the movie is going to be.
Are we going to read the log lines at all, or is it
No.
just from
No,
the
just-
title?
just
The
the title.
title,
Based on the
based on the title.
So the title of the next film is An American Tale, Fievel Goes West. I have seen it, but I couldn't tell you what happens, really.
No, I think I get it confused. Like, in my mind, it's literally just Back to the Future 3.
I mean, it probably is. So based on the end of this movie, Fievel wants to go other places, and it seems like he does.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I bet we lose Philly, right? I'm excited James Horner's back. 'Cause,
Yeah, I wonder what characters continue on.
yeah, Tony
I
probably
don't
not.
remember.
Maybe not the family?
The family's
no,
gotta
they
be
gotta
there.
sit together.
They
He's
gotta-
still a little kid, right? Why would
I
he
hope
lose-
that his voice is a little bit more grown up.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if it's the same, I don't know if it's the same actor or anything. but
What? How many years afterwards?
It's 91, so.
Oh shit.
So
Okay.
this is like my dream woke scenario for what happens in the next movie is
Yeah.
that since it was about the Jews coming to America and then like, you know, going against the cats, I want them to like go west and meet like native field mice and realize what the immigrants are doing to the native mice and
Native
like it needs to be about the
And then the Chinese mice that do kung fu.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a full
yeah.
Shanghai.
I can't wait to see it. I'm assuming there's going to be new characters.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if it's just. It was basically just mice and cats, right? We didn't really see any other animals.
Basically mice.
besides-
Dogs are mentioned, and birds.
Yes.
We have birds.
Oh yeah, there's birds. Yeah.
So we'll probably get more animals. Like over under on there being a snake, guys.
Ooh,
Like,
or a lizard or something.
yeah.
I think
Like a Rango type.
I feel
totally.
I feel like chances are high.
I mean, I think Rango was based on this movie,
Yeah.
so.
Maybe like an American
No, that's
eagle.
Chinatown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't know the
Fievel shops at an American Eagle.
if I didn't know some of the obvious basics of that film, you would think he already did go west.
Right.
Sure. He has to go
Further west.
Go west or young mouse. That's what
Oh, yeah. Go west or young mouse.
If there's a fifth movie in this series, it would be Fievel Goes West, Manifest Destiny, Destination the Moon.
Yes, that would be awesome. Space Fievel.
Space Fievel.
Or
Yeah.
Fievel goes
Fievel goes space.
Make it happen. Start a GoFundMe.
Fievel
to
goes
the moon.
north to Canada. That's the one they need to make
Yeah,
right
to
now.
get
He goes
healthcare.
north to
To get
Canada.
healthcare.
Yeah.
I think all good franchises eventually go to space, and if they don't, then they're not good.
That's true.
That's
gotta get to 10.
something that we truly believe here.
Yeah.
At Sequel
Sequel
Rights.
Rights.
Yeah.
All good franchises go to space.
That is one of our tenets. Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Like,
already
as-
a lot of talk about the moon and the stars, so it's just a natural next step.
All right, sweet. Well, why don't we kind of wrap up here? Thank you guys all for joining us. We're glad you're here, and I hope you stick around for the next episode where we talk about An American Tale 5 Goes
follow
West.
us on the social medias. You can get us at Sequel Rights on Twitter and email us at sequelrights@gmail.com.
And also facebook.com/sequelrights. Please like us.
Yeah, feel free to shoot us any questions, comments, anything. We'll respond back. as soon as we
And
can.
you can join the conversation and maybe make some predictions of your own of what's going to happen when Fievel goes out west.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.